So now that we understand how the show orders controller is built, let's go and get some data from the database. If you remember from previous videos, the table definitions themselves exist in the Northwind base project underneath the models namespace. And here we can see all the tables that are defined in our application. Let's open the orders table and we can see all the columns that exist in that orders table. Great. So let's go ahead and use it. Now I'm going to use the VS Drop Assist to put this in our code. I'll just grab the class, drag it using the Shift key, and drop it in our code. And it generated this line of code for us. Let's review it for a second. Public is an access modifier saying that this member, the orders table, will be available for other classes in our code. We need that because we need to access this table from the UI. Read only means that this member cannot be changed. Okay, the reference to order cannot be changed. Don't think that it makes the table read only, not at all. It just makes sure that we will not by mistake delete the orders reference and do some mistakes around it. Type, the types that we're using here. We want to take the type of orders within the namespace models and the names that we're going to use in our code and assignment with a new instance for it. So this adds the orders table to our controller for us to use. Next, you want to set it as the main entity that this controller runs on. So we're going to say from equal orders. From is a property that came from UI controller base. We've inherited it, and that's how I can use it over here. Great. Next thing we want to do, we want to go and work on our UI. So let's go to training, simple screen, show orders view. And here we can see our screen. Now, before we can start working on our screen, it's very important to build our code and see that everything works correctly. So I'll go to build and ask to build Northwind. Perfect, it's built. So let's go to the UI. Now, for the first time we're editing any solution, we can go to the toolbox and we can see all the controls that exist over there. But if we want to get controls that came with the migrated code, we'll need to run a setup once. So we'll say right-click, Setup Toolbox, and click Yes. And Visual Studio will add all the controls that are relevant to our migrated code with our specific settings that came from the specific migrated application. Okay, and we have several groups over here. Controls for GUI interfaces, text IO for text IO, and printing for printing. So we're going to use controls, and let's go and grab the grid and drag it on our screen. I can put it like this and drag it, or I can, better yet, just draw a rectangle and put it there. Perfect. Next, we need to choose the columns that we want to use. So we're going to right click on this, we're going to click on this little arrow and run the column wizard. Now the column wizard will show me the controller, the show orders controller. If I'll open it, I'll be able to see the orders tables that we've just defined. And if I open that, I can see the different columns in that orders table that I can choose to use from. So let's choose the columns we want to use. I want to choose, let's see, order ID, customer order date, ship via, ship name, and ship city. Perfect. And it will generate the grid for me, adding columns as I need them, and text boxes in those columns as I need them as well. Perfect. Let's run our application. Go to training, show orders, and voila, we can see the data from our database. Now this is a fully functional grid. It can do pretty much anything. It supports all the different modes that we need, such as query, modify, range, locate. We can go ahead and edit and it will update the database, and we can see exactly what it does over there. We can switch to query mode by using options query and then search, like HILARION, and search anything you want to search like this. This is a fully functional grid, a highly efficient one that gives us a lot of functionality. So let's review the change that we've done. To access the data from the database, all we needed to do is add 2 lines of code to our controller. One is define the entity and its usage within our controller, and set the from property with the orders table. And a tip, please make sure that you remember to build your code before you go over to the design.